Welcome back. Well, one of the keynote speakers at the conference was the president of Turner Broadcasting System International, Gerhard Zahler. He oversees the company's entertainment and kids networks seen in markets outside of North America, as well as the distribution and commercial operations of CNN's international services. James Dagger-Nixon spoke to him and began by asking why he was so confident about the outlook of the subscription industry.
I think that the new Foxtel platform, the management of Foxtel knows exactly how to tackle the consumer needs. And what are the consumer needs? First, a fair price. What Richard presented today is quite a value-enhancing package strategy for the consumer. Second, convenience. What I've personally seen for the IQ3 presentation, that's an incredible, very far advanced new box. Third, strong brands. I mean, all the strong brands are on Australian television, pay TV television. And fourth, quality content and local content. Everything of these 5 big pieces, which are in the interest of the consumer, are there in Australia. That's the reason why I believe that actually the penetration of Australia will go up in the not so distant future.
And you need all of those kings, as you sort of made mention, in order to get success. One on its own, say price and not content, won't do it. You need all your ducks in a row.
I think you need a majority of these kings if you want. Strong brands, quality content, convenience, simplicity, and the right price. If you can offer that to the consumer, if you can be the one-stop shop for the consumer, you will have success. That I'm 100% convinced of.
And does it give you confidence globally when you look at the state of the television industry? I mean, there's been a lot of doom and gloom written and said about it, but you're optimistic about the outlook.
Oh, yes, I'm optimistic because, first of all, the TV industry is known for embracing innovation. A big difference, for example, to the music industry, who, when the first changes arrived, they really put their heads into the sand. They didn't look around to the consumer, what the consumer really wants. So we are adapting. We are embracing innovation as an industry. Second, we always look at the consumer because we are a system where the success of our output is known the next day. Let's not forget that. Yeah? We have to look, we have to have our eyes in the ears at the taste and at the relevance threshold of the consumer. Otherwise, we are not successful. So these two things make me very optimistic that we not only remain as strong as we are, but that we can adapt to the changes which are necessary in order to continue to be a healthy industry.
A lot of change within the global industry, a lot of talk about consolidation, and we are seeing it. How do you see the television industry in the next 10, 20 years? Is it mega companies, fewer companies?
That's a good question. And I can't say that I know the answer. What I can say is that in times where still there are certain uncertainties and insecurities about the future, there's a natural tendency that people want to hedge the bets and consolidate. We see now in the US industry that on the platform side, there's some announcement of consolidation. Comcast with Time Warner Cable and DirecTV with AT&T. So whether this will be the beginning of a consolidation process also in other areas in the continent, I don't know. It's possible, but we will see that in the future. Consolidation alone will not be the answer. I think the answer is for us as an industry that we look at the consumer, what really the consumer wants, whether we are big companies or small companies.
And just finally, because I know we don't have much time, piracy. How big a threat is it, and how do you combat it?
To be honest, I think the biggest threat of our industry is piracy. And it's the feeling and the experience of many of young customers who see piracy as a normal way of life. And that scares me a little bit. And that's the reason why we only will be able to beat piracy if all the stakeholders work together. The platforms and the content creators and the channel owners to deliver to the consumer as early and as simple as possible the products. And on the other hand, the government, the lawmakers, the regulators to punish piracy. So to give the consumers a legal way of watching what they want and when they want it and on what device they want it. On the other hand, making it clear that piracy is theft and it's not a trivial offense. Only if these two sides come together, we will be able to beat piracy. And that's, in my opinion, a must to stay as a healthy industry.
All right, let's now have a look at some of the key media news out this week. And News Corp Australia's Confidential brand has now spread to all 5 mainland metro markets with the launch of the celebrity news feed on Perth website Perth Now. Confidential pages appear daily in the Daily Telegraph, the Herald Sun, the Courier Mail and the Advertiser newspapers, and on the websites of all those brands. Meantime, 2 notable events at New Idea magazine this week. Monday saw the Pacific magazine's weekly issue an apology to Melbourne radio host and part-time current affair reporter Chrissy Swan after they mixed up some of her quotes in an article. Later in the week, the magazine secured the rights to the photos of the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie wedding. And former #1 Perth breakfast announcer Fred Batika is returning to Perth Radio, not at his old employer, Southern Cross Stereo, but instead Fairfax-owned station 96 FM. He'll initially work as a fill-in announcer, but Fairfax has not ruled out a bigger role for him in the future. Time for a quick break on Media Week. Coming up, Astra CEO Andrew Maiden on the sidelines of the Astra 2014 conference.